Y'all come on in the room. It's time for the Steps Edit podcast show. We're doing it live on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. My name is Stephen B, and I am the host, the proprietor. This is my little space on this little place we call the internet. So glad to be with you all on tonight. Please come on in the room. For those of you who may be watching on my personal page, I am going to ask if you would jump on over to the Steps Edit page. That way, if you get involved in the conversation, get involved in the interaction, then I can actually see your posts live and we can show them on the air. So before I get too deep into the show, wait, I got to do it right. I got to do it the way I always do it. Good evening for those of you who are watching me live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to those of you who are watching me on the playback. Once again, thank you so much for joining me on the Steps Edit podcast. It's such a pleasure to be with you all on tonight. I appreciate you taking your time to hang out with your boy for just a little while. Now, before I get too deep in the show, and we got a very good show tonight, I have a very special guest. But I have one disclaimer that I need to make. If y'all see me do something like this at some point throughout the show or at various points throughout the show, I have apparently I have adopted a new pet. And I'm not gonna describe it the way I want to describe it because my mama be listening, and y'all already know, for those who watch my show, y'all know mama check me. So she got me together a few weeks ago. But it's a couple of flies in my house, and I'm actually looking at them. If you watching the screen, you'll see them kind of come through, and one of them might land on the camera. I don't know. They trying to be Facebook famous. They doing it at my expense. But you know, it is what it is. I'm living in Mississippi in the South, and it's hot to the flies too. So if they can find somewhere cooler to come and hang out, unfortunately, they decided to use my house to do it. But I promise you, one thing I can assure you, one thing for certain, and two things for sure, they not gonna be here next week. Now, see, there they go right there. All right. So, all right. Again, thank you guys for joining me on tonight. We have a very, very special show that's in line. But before we do that, I have a special tribute that I need to make. On today, we buried a very special friend to me. Her name is Miss Keon Davis. She got her wings and she transitioned on August the 1st of this year. They had her memorial service, her celebration of life on today in New Orleans. Because of some other things that I have going on in my life personally, I was not able to make it to the services. But this young lady, she's a part of the Bazillionaire group, which I am also a part of. We travel the world with Miss Bridget Bazille performing and doing all the things that Bridget wants us to do. And so to her family, my thoughts and prayers are with you. My condolences to you, Bridget, Pia, Chandra, Gigi. Y'all know, this is when I got the notification about this, it hit me pretty hard. And so this one took me back a little bit, but I do want to again just take a moment. On the Steps Edit podcast, we remember Keon. Sis, we love you. You are now part of that great cloud of witnesses that are looking down on us. I have so many stories, so many memories. Not going to share them on the show. That'll be one of those conversations that we kind of have sitting around, probably in the airport somewhere. But again, from the bottom of my heart, to the Davis family, to the mother and father, siblings, nephews of Keon, those of us who are very close to her, our thoughts and prayers are with you. We're praying for you. And the Bible says, blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. We are so grateful that we do have a comforter who is walking with us through this process. and we are not having to do it by ourselves. So, Keon, sis, we love you. Rest in peace, sis, and rest in power. And we're back. I know that was an abrupt way to come out of a memorial. That was something. I was hoping to have like some background music or something to play, but life be life, and didn't have a chance to pull that all together. But and I'm sure, if she was here, she'd be talking about me real bad. Be like, dude, that's the best you could do, sis. You know how I go around here. Yes, that's the best I could do. All right. And I would say we'll talk later, but no, we won't. Leave me alone. All right. And so on tonight's show, I have a very special guest. I am honored to have this young lady on the show with me. Me and this individual, we go way back. Like we go way back. We actually went to school together. I'm gonna let her tell the story of how we went to school together. But yeah, we went to school together, and yeah, I'm honored to have her on my show tonight. She is a product of Jackson Public Schools. She is a graduate of Tougaloo College. She got some other she, she has some other credentials that I'm gonna let her share. She got more degrees than a thermometer, Lord Jesus. But I am so honored to have on my show tonight the one and only Dr. Candice Love Jackson. Please welcome her
Thank you. Thank you,
stage to the screen.
classmate. Yes, thank you,
Yes,
class.
my classmate.
Uh, I'm not telling that story. I'll let you do it because you get so much pleasure out of
You're
it.
not you're not gonna tell the story about how we went to school together.
We
I
did go to
think
school together, actually. It
we
just wasn't the
did.
right one. I thought
We,
you were there so much that I'm not the only one who thinks you actually went to Tougaloo College.
no, you're not. I'm almost ashamed to I'm almost ashamed to tell this part because I don't want to be removed. So I'm not gonna tell it. But yeah, I'm very privy as to what's going on. Uh
All right, so just make sure since we have embraced you, then embrace your checkbook with your alumni donation. Thank you. I'm always recruiting for
well
Tougaloo.
played.
Mm-hmm.
Well played.
Yes.
So, all right, Candace, go ahead and tell us about you. Tell us
Well,
tell us about you.
it's a Jackson, Mississippi story. I went to JPS as you said, North Jackson. The first full graduating class. I got there in the first grade, and we were the first class to actually full class of North Jackson.
Okay.
Um, and went to Powell where we met. Hmm.
That is where
As
we met.
classmates.
Yes.
Yes, that's where we met.
That's where we went to school together.
And then I went to Callaway. Don't say that. Don't. Hey, charges all the way. So, and then I left Callaway and went to Tougaloo College. So, and after that, I went to University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, Carolina, and I earned my master's and my PhD in English there. Mm.
Mm, that is wonderful. And
So
so
professionally, I've been teaching since 1999. Um, and as a faculty member, I've served as a department chair, director of the honors program, uh, assistant provost, acting president. You know, around the world.
and okay. Um I'm
You
gonna
look
ask
you look shocked by that. You look right.
no, 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 no,
The
no, no.
longest week
I'm
of my
not
life.
shocked. I'm not shocked because I know, I kind of know this story. I don't
Hmm.
necessarily know all of the details, but I do
Right,
know.
right.
This is my question.
Hmm.
This has nothing to do with the letter that we're gonna read tonight. This has nothing to
Right.
do with
Okay.
any of that. I just want to know, why are you not the president of anybody's college right now?
Well, it's not for lack of trying, but I think, and I think I've gotten close a couple of times. I would love to, I would love to even serve. I love to serve. Um, I think at this point in my career, I am probably a bit too honest about how I would run things.
Okay.
I'm student centered. I'm faculty centered. Um, I'm human being centered, and I don't play games. And yeah, that's probably why.
So basically, you don't politic.
I strategize, but I don't play politics with people's lives. Like that's not. Um, I've seen too much of that. Like it's not fun for me. You know, people have lives outside of the institution, and you
Yeah.
have to honor that. In order for me to get the best out of my students and my faculty, I have to honor that they are human beings.
Right.
And sending somebody home or just you'll hear this in the hallways of academia, you'll hear it in the hallways of corporate America. They just fire people willy-nilly, or they remove them, or they treat them bad because you can. And so that's just never been part of my upbringing. My mother wasn't like that. So she started talking to me really early about leadership and what makes a good supervisor, what makes a good,
Yeah.
and so she always had this saying, she said, I can work for you 8 hours a day, or I can work for you 8 hours a day.
Mm.
And so
And
when
I
I put
and I
in my, I'm
understand the
saying,
difference.
but in order for me to work for you 8 hours a day, you got to acknowledge that those are your 8 hours.
Yeah.
You don't get me that other time. And you got to,
Understood.
just, I like to honor people in their spirit when they're working for me, and I don't like to play games. Yeah.
Understood. So I have a few comments, or it's comments. It's a few comments by the same person, but I'm gonna put them on the screen. I know who this
Okay.
person is.
Okay.
Okay. And
Okay.
so number one, Watkins Elementary, stand up. Yes, sir. Every day, all day, you know what it is.
Yeah. If they hadn't built North Jackson, I would have gone to Watkins. I was going
Respect.
to Watkins. Yeah.
Respect. And then he turned the corner. Lord have mercy.
Yes. Seaway. I'm on the wall, baby. I'm Hall of Fame on the wall, baby. When you
Um,
go in there, you're gonna see me. I'm
I,
always see.
I understand, but I strategically wore the shirt that I wore tonight because I mean, since we talking about schools,
Uh
hold on,
huh.
I don't know if you can see my shirt. Hold on, move my mic out the way. You know, you know.
Well, I will tell you this. I will honor that. I was in APAC. I took creative writing at APAC, and we that was when it was at Murrah.
Uh huh.
And two of my nieces, my godson and my nephew, they're all Murrah Luster.
Listen, listen. Okay, so now here we go.
But I remember when you only had 40 people in the band, and you had to have two per 5 yard line. So, you know, don't get too high minded there.
And we still sounded good.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, we did.
Style
My
marching.
daddy told me it's a po frog that won't praise his own pond.
Oh, Lord.
And
And that is
so
the truth. That's what Horace Buckley says. It used to say at Cade.
you see what I'm saying? And so here we go. Same person. But this was as we were speaking of you, he says that she is beyond qualified to lead. And
I wait
then
on the call.
right. Then he said, take that shirt off. We ain't going there. Nobody wants to see that. Yeah, we ain't going there. Okay, yeah. Respect, but no, no, sir. And these flies is getting on my nerves.
I
All right.
know, but they are making an appearance. They are
Listen,
they are
do you see
attracted to the
them?
light. Yeah, I see them. They
Like,
look well. It actually, if you just don't worry about it, because it kind of look like flashes of light. Like maybe you tried to do it, so they're going so fast. They're looking like flashes of light.
that's what they look like.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. You are such the consummate educator that you encourage even in buffoonery. You be like, no, don't, no, just
Don't do anything
it's okay.
because they
You
do.
know,
They look like it looks like flashes of light from this end.
yeah, no, that's
Mhm.
not what it is. All right, but all right. So, I do want to go ahead and jump into
Okay.
tonight's letter.
Hmm.
And so this is the letter for tonight. It says, "Dear Steps Headed Podcast, I hope this letter finds you well. As a mother of two children who are currently struggling with homework, I am reaching out to seek guidance and advice on how I can best support my children academically in the upcoming school year. My children aged 8 in the fourth grade and 13 in the eighth grade
Mhm.
often find themselves overwhelmed with their school assignments, and it has been a challenge for me to provide them with the necessary assistance because it has been so long that I don't remember how to do it, or they have changed the rules since the last time I had to do it.
Mhm.
I'm constantly looking for ways to help them build strong study habits and improve their academic performance. I'm reaching out to your podcast with the hope that you can offer some valuable tips and tools that I can incorporate into our daily routine to help my children succeed in their studies. Whether it be organizational techniques, strategies to improve focus and concentration, or methods to foster a positive attitude towards learning, any insight you can provide would be greatly appreciated. I believe that your expertise and advice can make a significant impact on my children's educational journey, and I am
Mhm.
eager to implement any recommendations you may have. That's why I brought in an expert, because you wasn't going to want to implement the recommendations I had. But thank you
Okay.
for taking the time to consider my request. I look forward to hearing from you and learning from your podcast to support my children in achieving academic success. Warm regards, need a parenting tutor.
Mm.
So now, before I turn the floor over to, wrong button. Sorry.
It's okay.
See, I'm not the one. Before I turn this over to Dr. Candice Love Jackson,
Mhm.
I'm going to give my very high level parental advice.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna wait.
No, no, go on.
I'm gonna
So I
give
can rebut it all. But go ahead.
right, right. That's why I want you to go first.
No.
That way I can have some tips, and then
Okay.
I can just like I kind of did in school. I can cheat off your paper, and but we do not condone
Mhm.
cheating
Cheating, not at all.
under no circumstance. Do we
Well,
condone cheating?
well,
But if
first of all,
you ain't
I
cheating,
really
you ain't trying. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
first of all, I want to thank this listener, because what it shows me, even on the front end, school is only in the second week, second or
Hmm.
third week, right? That's something that's important. So half the battle is already won,
Right.
right? Because you already recognize that we have some issues, and let's get them on the front end, right? That's really the most important thing. You're not waiting until the end of the year to determine that there's a problem,
Right.
right? So if I think you sent it to me, so I'm gonna try to pull it up with the 7% that I have left on my phone. Um,
I can
one,
put it up on the screen if you want me to, if that'll help.
no, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
I
Okay.
try to do my thing.
Okay.
Um, so the thing about kids is you got to figure out, and this means for the small ones and the big ones, just people in general. How do they receive information,
Hmm.
right? Um, and as an educator, sometimes I have to figure out, um, are they auditory listeners? Do they listen to gain information? Are they visual? A lot of our children are visuals just because that's the culture that we're in.
Right.
How do they learn? Right. So that's one area. The other area is, in terms of thinking about, uh, what do they like to do. So
Hmm.
the academic work is going to happen, and I could totally feel this whole, it's been too long since I had to do it. I remember when we had our grandson, and shout out to him, he's going to college tomorrow. um it, they were doing something, and they brought home in math, and they brought home some boxes.
Hmm.
I didn't have boxes. If you wanted to show me how to, I still remember how to divide fractions. You know why? Because it's 3 steps. You flip the second one over, multiply across, and reduce.
Hey,
You
thank
know,
you for telling me that, because my
that's it. I mean,
child.
you flip the second one, multiply across, and reduce. It is what it is, right? And so they come up with these boxes and all that kind of stuff. you may not remember that. Now you can teach them how you learn and then try to figure that out,
Right.
right? I told them, I said, y'all gonna have to do something else because I majored in English for a reason. But and this is true. But I think this is where parental involvement becomes key because you can't do it by yourself,
Right.
right? And this is where you have some schools have, with your PTA, request, require. If you all are going to change the game or you're teaching these new skill sets in these regular skill sets in new ways, you also need to teach parents how to help you and their children.
Right.
So that engagement at that level, and I know it's inconvenient, but so is parenting, right? So PTA, being engaged, making sure um, that you know how to best help your child from that standpoint, for whatever the skill sets are and how they're changing that. That kind of involvement lets the school know that you're serious, um, and then let your child also know that you're serious.
Hmm.
Because no matter what they say, they love being the ones whose mama is there or the daddies who's there, right? And so that's in that, in terms of kind of learning these new things and how to help your children with just homework. But I think the greater issue about this letter is, how do you get them to want to learn?
Right.
You trick them.
Mm.
You
So
trick.
so before you give me the trick,
Mm-hmm.
something you said, and I remember my human anatomy and my human anatomy and
Mm-hmm.
physiology teacher
Yes.
at the Murrah High School. She had a phrase that she had above her chalkboard, and she kept it there the entire year. The
Mm-hmm.
phrase was, "If you can't learn the way I teach, I must learn to teach the way you learn."
Learn. That's it.
And the unfortunate thing for me now, although I thrived in her class because that was her mantra. That was,
Mm-hmm.
and she would do everything she could to make sure you understood the principles before she moved on.
Mm-hmm.
The unfortunate thing for me is I was an adult before I understood the type of learner that I am. If
Okay.
I had known in high school, middle school, or I'm sorry, it was junior high when I was there. So if I
Mm-hmm.
had known how I learned then my approach to learning would have been different.
Right.
What that what that made me do was do the best I could to understand the type of learners that my
Mm-hmm.
children are,
Right.
you know, and no, it's not cookie cutter because
It's
I
not.
have one child who she is auditory.
Mm-hmm.
If she hears it, she got it. I have
Right.
one child who she is like me. You can tell her 157 times, but until she puts her hands on it and she does it, she's
Mm-hmm.
tactile. She
Right.
has to get in there and get it done. And then I have one who she just learned by osmosis. I don't know what this child got going on. She is, yeah. I almost said something, but I'm gonna be nice. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, she
Yeah.
that's she just does it.
Mm-hmm.
And so yes, so I think it is very key. And what I'm gonna do is, as you highlight points, I just want to throw the
Mm-hmm.
point back out there. So the point number
Yeah.
one that
Yeah.
you made was be active, be involved,
Yes.
specifically
Download their
with
active
PTA.
parent.
Mhm.
Check to see the children now, even in middle school, have syllabi. Go over it. Get the vision board. Get the calendar set, the family calendar, so that you're not caught at 8:30 thinking you got to do a board for history class,
Mm.
and you running trying to catch Michaels before they close. It's for in the fourth grade. They've got reading fair. They've got science fair. Go on and buy your boards. You don't even know what the project is, but you need the supplies.
Mhm. See,
Because
that's smart right there.
so
This
you
how you
you
know they
already,
coming.
and you already know that every fourth grader in the city of Jackson is going to do the reading fair. Every
Mhm.
fourth grader, fifth grader, sixth grader, all of them are doing science fair. You need the tri board. Go on and get it.
Yeah.
Get the supply. You don't even have to, but that way you don't get caught up in the rush of the minutia because you already got your supplies.
Now you have to break down that minutia word because
Well,
we don't know what that means.
it's you get caught up in, oh, we got to get this, we got to get that, and this store
Okay,
doesn't
gotcha.
have it, and that store doesn't have it, and you get caught up in the getting of things that you forget about the project.
Yeah, yeah,
So now, if I already have it, I don't have to worry about that. I mean, there's a little things. I mean, it sounds like, okay, well, how's that really going to help them learn? When but
yeah.
it does. It helps you with your anxiety as a parent.
Right.
If you're not running out to get cutout letters at 9 o'clock at night before it's due, right? I wish that look some of the things that I wish I'd done myself
Right. That part.
because I wasn't used to doing all of that. You get better as it goes along, and they get used to the help. Just wake
Mm-hmm.
me when it's over.
Mm.
Um, but those are the things that I think that if I had to do it now, do it over again, that's what I would do.
Yeah. This weekend I'm going to buy some triboards just
Just just in
just
case.
in case they don't spoil.
No, they don't. They do
They
not.
don't.
And all those school supply markers and all that kind of stuff that you just bought, make sure that they're still working. So it's
Yeah.
even when the first day of classes at the college level, I tell the students there are several things that will happen that inevitably the day before a paper is due. You're gonna run out of ink if you're printing in your room. You're gonna run out of paper. And all of this will happen at 9:30 before. At that time, Walmart would be closing, at 10. So whatever before the store closes, that's when it's gonna
Mm-hmm.
happen.
Yep.
So what I would tell them is buy an extra thing of ink and throw it under your bed, buy extra ream of paper and throw it under your bed. And on that moment, you'll go, oh, I got an extra ream of paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From a
So
from an IT side on that
mhm.
level, also put everything on a jump drive.
Several and print out your copies. But when you get up from your laptop, print stuff out. So for parents in secondary ed, I
Mm-hmm.
would say go on through every one of those syllabi, look at your major projects, and go on now and get supplies taken care of so that
Right.
you can focus on other things. That's the
Right.
least of your worries. You've got all the
This
glitter
is
you
good.
need,
This is
all the cutout letters, right? Um, that once you go through things and you can highlight um where the major projects are, where the major assignments are, where the daily assignments are.
mm-hmm.
When you can mitigate your anxiety as a parent, then you can mitigate their anxiety,
Okay.
right? So if you
Okay.
are involved and engaged as a parent in what to do, and so because I know one of the issues was organizational skills.
Mm-hmm.
Take some time. We had trapper keepers.
Man, what?
We, you had a trapper keeper, baby. You on
Oh,
point, right? Um, but it also goes on how do they organize things and how do they receive that kind of information. So
mm-hmm.
you don't try to make them do it as if you were doing it. You've got to figure out who your child is as an organized person. What, Mr. Brand?
No, no, that fly just pinched me.
Okay.
Upside.
So
That was it.
that I think part of that is, and this is low hanging fruit. The
Mm-hmm.
hardest part of this is the parent's anxiety. You want to do well, and
And
you want your
that's
kid.
and that's the point right there. It's the parents' anxiety
Hmm.
because I don't want to help my child do some homework and then they go turn it in.
Well, there's a comedian who said that he did his son's homework and came back with two zeros. The
Right,
teacher said, "Oh, again, what do you and what do your daddy both got?"
right, right.
Go back.
Like I don't want to be. And this is
Right.
true story. Now this is the truth, and I'm gonna let you. I promise I'm gonna let you do it.
Uh-huh.
So I have a daughter who's in 10th grade in Ridgeland.
Uh-huh.
So she was running down her schedule to me and she was letting me know the classes she's taking. And I'm saying, okay, okay, this baby is taking AP calculus.
Mm-hmm.
The best I did was pre-cal in college. She's taking AP psychology.
Mm-hmm.
Who teaches psychology in high school?
What they doing?
And so I see, but
Mm-hmm.
this is where my anxiety comes in is, baby, I can't help you with none of your homework. So when she told
Mm-hmm.
me what she was taking, I was like, "Ooh, you smart. Oh, ooh, you real
This is the one
smart."
that will
'Cause-
humble you. Um, but what you can do though is that if there, you can allow her the space and the freedom to feel confident and say, yes, she's highly intelligent. But that doesn't mean that if you don't get into trouble, we're not going to be here. We know people who can help you.
oh,
I
absolutely.
may, you know what I'm saying? So I know you're doing that, but a lot of high achieving, highly talented academic students, are in this idea that, oh, you can't possibly be having a hard time. And so they get into this mode of, I can't ask for help because everybody expects me to already have it on the ball.
Mm,
So they just need the space to be able to recognize that they don't know it all.
right.
So even it's not just students and parents um who are, they may not be valedictorian or in the top 10 or in the top 20 or in the honors classes or in the AP classes.
Hmm.
Those kids just have as much anxiety as kids who are not in those classes.
Right.
And
Right.
so the the bottom line and the equalizer is that everybody has to have the space to know that they need assistance
Yeah.
and when to ask for help and be able to ask for help in such a way that doesn't shame them for asking for help.
So I have a few comments that I do want to put on the screen
Okay.
very quickly. Sonia Allen, very good friend of mine. She said, "Yep, I am a trapper keeper kid."
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
Now she's also an educational consultant. I
Okay.
was actually working. He done Mike Pence me again. I was working on getting her on the show with you,
Mm-hmm.
but she gave me these wonderful excuses, and so she told me she was gonna jump in. But what she did tell me, one thing she says I would have binder days in my classroom which gave students time to organize, not only
Mm-hmm.
for my class but for every subject in class.
That's
Now,
amazing.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate you doing that
Mm-hmm.
because you have so many teachers and so many educators who will take the attitude, I don't care what you got going on in
Right.
other classes. Um,
Mm-hmm.
my class is the only class you need to be worried about, but your class is not the only class I have to pass to graduate.
Right.
And
The
so,
biggest threat
right.
to student success is mental health.
Mm-hmm.
It's not academics, it's mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And if they are frustrated, if they feel you're frustrated with them or for them, any of that, that affects their mental health. Yes, and sometimes you're going to be frustrated, but see, having that sense of um, humanity is kind of lacking. Even when we were in school, we had some teachers who could have cared less about what we had going on.
Right.
And the ones who do are the ones we love and remember and cherish.
Yes.
And that's the same approach to, because the teacher is the leader in that class, and that's how you teach empathy. We cannot ask our students to go out in this world and be humane, ethical, good people if we don't first model that for them.
Right.
And it's
Right.
that kind of emotional intelligence that then lends itself to other things.
So I said I did my child's homework one time, and her teacher emailed me and asked me. he,
Yeah,
he went to Callaway. All right.
don't do that. Don't do
Okay. So Sonya, I just hope you know you just volunteered right here. I have it. I have it on good faith. You volunteered that you are going to be my tutor. You're gonna tutor me so I can help my child with her AP psychology at Murrah. At Ridgeland, because you did it at Murrah. So since you did it at Murrah, I know you know exactly what you're talking about. And so we're good. Okay. You told me to be me. We had in our
I
in
did.
our
Unfortunately, yes, I did.
pre-interview, yes.
Yeah.
And then here we go. This is
Oh, I
from
love that.
our friend Esther. She said Briarwood Art Center will be offering sessions for help with homework. Now,
That's
this
amazing.
is key. This is key for those parents who you don't know what to do.
Hmm.
Now you have a resource of a company of people who do know what to do, and they're in
Right.
place to help you.
Right. And take those seriously.
Yes.
Um, because it's not just, children get frustrated. They have so many distractions. But if you're calm, they'll be calm. If you know what you're talking about, or if you try, and if they see you trying and
Yeah.
learning something new, again, they will. And so that's where I go back to my comment about you just trick them. See, what we've gotten to as a culture is that we think that all learning happens in the classroom.
Mm,
It doesn't. Um, the more well-rounded students are those who live in a world and in a household that embraces learning of all types, and that they're being talked to and engaged about the world, about what's happening, whether it is a documentary, whether it is, and find those things that bring them joy. And it sort of kind
mhm.
of extends. I gave a lecture at Mississippi Valley State. Shout out to Mississippi Valley State. My father's from Edabina.
Respect.
Um, so I root for the Delta Devils on occasion.
My mom's a
Um,
Valley alum, so
oh, okay, wonderful, wonderful. Um, so one thing I said is that the world does not play fair out there.
right, right.
So even when you're talking about a kid who, wants to play out in the dirt with the insects, we know that
Mhm.
that's a field of study. Allow them time to study that, where it has nothing to do with anything academically. Let them do a report on that worm,
Yeah.
right? Let them kind of explore that. Natural Science Museum for something that's totally not related academically in that moment. Does that make sense?
It does.
Right.
No, it makes
Um,
perfect sense.
and so that you have students who are interested or say they're interested in music, or one who always cutting up in class. I told the teachers, I said, if you have a class clown, we have a clear line. You give them 2 minutes at the end of the day. If you can be good for all day, we're gonna give you 2 minutes to tell some jokes.
Mm,
You never know. You might have the next Kevin Hart, Cat Williams in your class. You never know.
right, right.
If you have somebody, you got a kid who's beating on the desk, your rhythm section, let him write a song. Let him do it. Buy him some music sheets. Let him play with. Let him do it. Because what you're doing is you're honoring who they are, and if you're respecting what they love, what they like, they will then in turn give you the respect, even if they don't like the subject matter, to say, okay, wait a minute.
Now, the
You know?
interesting thing about that is, and you just gave that from the aspect of, you just gave that from the aspect of an educator.
Yeah.
But then I can take that same thing as a
Mhm.
parent
Yep.
and say, okay, if you always run around here beating on the table, or you can't focus on doing your math because you got two pencils in your hand and you doing this,
You taking some music lessons.
you will be taking some music lessons.
Mm-hmm.
But then
Mm-hmm.
and then if I can find that thing that you love, then I can use that as a bartering tool
Right.
to say, hey, if you can give me this, then we can do this.
Yeah. But you don't even have to. Sometimes you don't even have to do the if then. Right.
Hmm.
You're allowing them to explore the beauty of who they are, and you can make connections between what they love and what they must learn,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
if I have a high school musician, and I mean I was in the band. Shout out Mr. Mitchell, the late great Mr. Mitchell, the
Shout
Callaway
out
Charger.
to Mr.
Yes,
Mitchell.
we love Mr. Mitchell. That But let me tell you, Cheryl Holly, I can't impress. I we were all in love with Mr. Holly. Great band director. and I thought I was going to major in music. That's how good it was.
Interesting.
He introduced me to jazz, and of course, I wanted to impress my band director, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right. And I wrote a piece of music, a full orchestra. It was about a page long. I did all the parts. It was I called it Oriental jazz. It was one scale.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember that. We actually played it.
Really?
Yeah, we had played it at assembly. Robin, my classmate Robin was conducting. She
Uh-huh.
conducted it. I played it. Um, I based it on the Oriental scale. It had nothing to do with class. Um, but I'm thinking about music and jazz and Miles Davis
Yeah.
and learning about those things outside of class because that's what I was interested in, and I brought all that stuff in with me.
Right.
Um, Especially when kids start learning about history, how are we connecting? How do we connect what they're learning about? They're reading the Diary of Anne Frank. We we know what that is. How do we see that, and how do we have those discussions when we're watching the news together in real time as a parent,
Right.
in how they can process that information, right? So as we we have to start making connections for them in their real lives, in those things that they see they don't see themselves in.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of trick things. And then sometimes, hey, go down to the Civil Rights Museum, go to the Children's Museum. They're learning, but they're having fun. And then if they see you reading, if they see you watching a documentary, if they see you're making yourself a lifelong learner, and sometimes even take your own class doing something you love to do, they'll say, "Oh, mama and daddy do X, Y, and Z to learn about something." So learning is not a bad thing.
Right.
It's not something I just have to do in school. I'm learning something every day.
So, okay.
Yeah.
So, segue.
Mm-hmm.
Because these are very good keys to for parental interaction, and if I have
Yep.
any educators interacting,
Mm-hmm.
this is very good for educator student interaction, parental student interaction. But there's one key piece that I think a lot of times on the parental side and sometimes even on the educator side we miss. There
Mm-hmm.
has to be a partnership with
Mm-hmm.
with parent and teacher.
Right. And that's where the PTA comes in. And my mother was a proponent of PTA. I'm a proponent of PTA. I love PTA. We got to stop letting the only interactions with our teachers be a call necessarily just about my kid. If teachers are struggling and they're human beings themselves,
Hmm.
and before we jump hot on teachers about, oh, they said this to my child, or they did this, or they're doing it, find out what's going on with their teacher first, because she's a human being. We're not all perfect.
Right.
Educators are not perfect. We had those late night arguments and got to struggle to pay bills, and your kid coming in talking might have said hello wrong, or because they drive too, and baby, it just could be a miscommunication. The other thing is that if if I have an expertise in an area as a parent, why don't I offer that to that teacher, some resources to that teacher? If you're studying, like you said in your human anatomy class,
Hmm.
and there was a parent in there who actually worked at the hospital and could have taken you all to a lab and kind of worked that out, or at least brought a demonstration, the visual learning. We've got to work together. Where can I fit in to help my kid or these children in this class with an experience that brings it all home?
And I love that. I
But the
really love
reality,
that. I know,
but
and I'm not. And this is conversations that I've heard. I'm
mm-hmm,
not this parent. I'm not this parent. But these are conversations that I've heard.
mm-hmm,
I ain't got time to do that. They don't pay me to do that, and I ain't got the money to do that. Now, again, I'm not that
Mhm.
parent.
Okay. And I hear that. I'm going to acknowledge that. I hear that. And a lot of them can't. Um, I went to I don't know how many of y'all remember the Learning Tree in Jackson. Mamie Crockett owned the Learning Tree. It was private daycare. And my mother always told me what put in perspective for her. She had a parent meeting and she said, "Do y'all love your children?" And everybody said, "Of course we do. Of
Hmm.
course we do. How could you ask us that?" She said, "Well, do you work with them on their skills when they come home? Do you send them to school sick? Do you not? Do you pick them up late? Do you do all?" And I'm not saying that every parent can't do that, right? They
Right.
can do that. I'm not. That's not what I. The point I'm trying to make is this: there are certain things we must make time for. We must make time to give where we can, and we can't get. We literally none of us can get paid for everything that we do.
Facts.
It's just the two of us, we know what it is to donate time and service, right? we we understand this,
Yes,
but
we do.
that's what we must do.
Yeah.
And that if we can see every child in that classroom, in that school, as one of our own, because I want to see when I would tell the students they drop them off at Tougaloo and the mom was all, "Oh, okay, what?" I said, "Hey, when you drop them with me, when you leave them with me, they're fine.
Hmm.
Don't worry about them. I got 'em. If you leave them with me,
Yeah.
they're gonna be okay." So if every the mutual respect, if we want our teachers to feel that way, and I want to, as a parent, feel that when I leave my child at their school, that they're going to be okay, not just physically. Of course, I expect that,
Right.
but I
Right.
want them to be emotionally okay and academically okay. So I think I get what it sounds like. Oh, that's just a pie in the sky idea, but Steph, you are an IT person. If you go speak to you don't your kid doesn't have to be in the IT classes, in the computer classes, for
Hmm.
you to give of your talents as a parent in that school. You don't have to be going to your child's class,
Right.
but you want to make sure that atmosphere is a family atmosphere, that you are giving of yourself. So that to if I go to Callaway or Murrah and talk about personal statements, or help teachers learn how to write good letters of recommendation, that's that's part of the community that we're asking for,
Right.
right? That's right. They're mine, right? I'm with you, Sonya. Like they they are mine. Um, and to this day, I'm very proud of the fact that my students, no matter where they were, even when I taught at SIUE in Edwardsville, Illinois, still find me, because they know that I will respond. They know I'll be
Hmm.
there.
Hmm.
And that's they were my children. I was just telling somebody the other day. I said the administrators, some of them when I was in the classroom, and I was still just a department chair, and I was over the honors program. They would know. Don't mess with that one. That's one of Dr. Jackson. And if y'all
Hmm.
don't want her on this second floor, leave that one alone.
Right.
So that's how we all have to be
And that's
about our children.
the thing that we sometimes as parents, um we forget. And no, I won't even say as parents, as individuals.
Hmm.
It's funny when I have my former teachers who they'll see me, and I have some teachers, they know exactly who I am.
Hmm.
And then I have some teachers who they be like, yeah, I, and then after I tell them who I am, yeah, I remember.
Right.
And one thing I know is uh, teachers vividly remember two types of students. They remember the really good students
Mhm.
and they remember the really bad students.
Mhm.
And then I remember you were the student that just kind of, you know, you
You made it through.
slid
Yeah.
under the radar.
Right.
Um,
And those are the ones you really have to take care of
hmm So
because yeah, they'll follow. They because they're going so far under the radar that they may not ever get a chance or have somebody see them beyond the middle of the road.
yeah, yeah. So this has been a great interaction. I actually think I'm gonna do a part two to this
Okay.
because we still have so much to. There's still so much in this letter to unpack,
Yeah.
but I don't want to. I don't want to drag it. You know.
Right. But
too
I
long.
do want to make sure that I'm very clear that this parent should be commended. Um, even for wanting this. We'll just sit down, communicate with your kids. Are you giving me
That
the
you said
encouragement?
you want that. That's the no. You want the parent to be
Yeah.
commended.
Okay.
So clap it up for the
Oh,
parent.
that sounded like the good times. You gotta go.
No, no,
Uh,
that's gonna be this.
okay.
Yeah,
But
yeah. When you say
I
music, good
just
time.
I really do. But be active as you can, but also be as calm and mitigate your own anxiety about
Yeah.
it. And here's the one thing about it. If you care this much and you're seeking that advice, you're doing a great job. This parent is doing a great job.
Kudos.
Yeah.
Kudos. So what I do want you to do, before we wrap it up, just kind of give me a couple of bullet points on, how do we, how as a parent, and you can use me, you can give them to me.
Hmm.
Say, Stefan, these are the ones, two, threes, and fours that you should be. Nah, don't use me because I know you'll have some very specifics for me. Let's make it more
Right.
generalized.
Well, one thing I want you to be as active with the school as possible.
Okay. Active with the school.
Go over every syllabus. Go on and get the supplies now. Get the triboard, get your glitter, get your glue, get all of that. Put it
Okay.
aside. You know it's coming. Even
Okay.
if it's in the spring, you know it's coming. Don't wait.
Right.
Um, ask your teachers. Ask the teachers what do they need assistance with, and we're not talking about supplies. I'm talking about resource support, experiential learning activities. Find out what your kids are into outside of school and make them learning opportunities that they don't even realize they're learning opportunities, and just
Okay.
allow them to explore. And so that thirst for knowledge will then seep into their academics, right? And just allow them, and also allow them some time to just be kids. They're gonna need downtime. Kids aren't getting enough cognitive rest because they're also stressed out as well.
Hmm.
Have some quiet time at the house. Um, let them see you exploring new opportunities and new avenues of thought and learning, and then discuss what they're learning and make it relevant to today. Because you could do a whole class on Kendrick Lamar, not like us in LA. Down from history, shaving a haircut, all the way
Right.
to the languages. So there's a way to kind of make their popular culture relevant. That's why a lot of our kids are into anime, but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
But just kind of make some relevancy between what they're learning and who they are in the world that they're in. And I think they'll make their conversations more robust, engage them. But I think what a lot of parents forget key is that they're not supposed to stop learning either.
Mm.
Let your children see you exploring things that mean something to you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that'll make a world of difference.
That's good. That's real good. That's all right.
What you learning over what you need to learn over there, Mr. Brady.
Okay,
Good.
because you
It's kind
see,
of
you just came all in my front room, like,
yeah.
hey,
But
but
but but think about the fact that we're in a world now where you're doing this podcast, right? Or you're doing all these extra things outside of the job. And so that's important, not just not not necessarily for the hustle mentality, but that you're trying something new,
Right.
right? May even the grown ones, because you know they never grown. You know they never grown. Even the adult children
Right.
want to see that their parents, that their parentals, as they say, their guardians are always in this sort of exploration of themselves, not just to go, not
Yeah.
just to have your hot girl, hot girl, hot boy, summer, or whatever, but
Right.
just to be an exploration of yourself.
Yeah. So I do want to drop my little nugget of expertise, since you did right into my show. Uh,
Okay, yeah, because you need to say something, right?
yeah. So, since you did right into my show, the Steps Ahead podcast. So first thing is take a note from me,
Mm-hmm,
meaning I knew that this was bigger than I could properly give you. And so I
mm-hmm,
reached out to a resource and I found someone who I knew was better qualified to answer the question than me.
mm-hmm.
Um, the lesson you learn from me is you not in this by yourself. That's the lesson you learn from Steph said it, and from Stephen B is you are not in this by yourself. My dad used to say all the time, I may not know everything, but I know somebody.
There you go.
And
Mm-hmm,
so, case in point, I have a child who's taking AP psychology. I know absolutely nothing about AP psychology, but I know Sonia,
mm-hmm,
and Sonia teaches AP psychology.
mm-hmm,
And so, if my child has a question about AP psychology, I can either take the question to Sonia or I can connect Sonia and my child and say, hey, let's work this out.
mm-hmm,
But I also understand people's time is valuable. So I ain't expecting nobody to do everything for free. You hear me, Sonya? I'm not expecting you to do everything for free. I'm
mm-hmm.
you go do something for free, not everything, but you know. And then the other part, and I think this is key, is even if I don't know how to do it before we start working on it, then this is something that we can learn together.
Mm-hmm.
And so the way I help you work through the problem is I help us work through the frustrations of not knowing.
Mm-hmm.
If I can get us beyond the frustrations of not knowing how to do it and get
Yeah.
beyond the anxiety of, oh my God, that's not the way they did it when I was in school. The
Mm-hmm.
reality is they're not doing anything the way I did it when I was in school. Not much. And, you know, we didn't have cell phones when I was in school. I was not walking around up and down the hall with a computer in my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Now everything is right there accessible, and even though it can be a huge resource, it can also become a huge distraction.
Right.
And so those are the other things. I love the idea of quiet time. I know one of the things that I used to do with my girls was every night at a certain time, even if I wasn't at home, every night at a certain time all devices were turned off.
Mm-hmm.
You took your iPad, your laptop, your cell phones, and you put them on my bed, because a lot of times I would be working at night, but you would
Mm-hmm.
put them on my bed so that when I got home, I would make sure all of the devices were charged, they were plugged in, and they were ready for you when you started your day the next day.
Mm-hmm.
If there
Mm-hmm.
was ever a situation where you needed to go beyond your 9 o'clock time, then you had to call me and you had to give me a logical reason why. I needed to know, why do you need to go beyond this time period.
Yeah. Okay.
They were in junior high school at this point. this,
Okay.
this,
All
this
right.
wasn't high school stuff,
Okay.
you but yeah, I mean, I need to know this
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because it gets you off your device. One of the reasons I know that our children aren't sleeping because they spending from 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock on TikTok, and they either watching TikTok or making TikToks.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to be asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so these are all, even if I don't know how to do the work that you're doing, I know
Mm-hmm.
how to offset some of the distractions so you can
Mm-hmm.
focus on the work that you're
Right.
supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as we have those established times in place, we
Mm-hmm.
know from this time to this time, this is what we're working on. From
Mm-hmm.
this time to this time, it's playtime. From
That's
this
right.
time to this time, it's chores time. From this time to this time, it's whatever time. And again, you have to figure out what works in your house
That's
because
that's true. And
no
for
two
each
situations
child,
and
each
for each child.
multiple childs can, multiple children in the same household, um, they still they experience it differently.
Right,
Each
right.
one of your children have experienced you differently. You may have, so there's uh oh, and by the way, since we're coming up on the election time, I hope that all of you take your children with you when you go vote,
Mm,
that they have that experience, that they know that an imperative. Make it a family event
yeah,
and talk to them. Yeah, that's how you
very
create engaged children, and they can't take their phones in
right.
there.
That part.
Stand in the line and talk to people about voting.
Right.
Yeah,
And be open to hear other conversations, even if you don't agree.
that's right.
One of the things that I told my child, because she's on the debate team, I don't know why
Mm.
my child would want to be on the debate team. I don't know where
You
she would
don't know.
ever
You don't
get
know who did that.
the idea of debating. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
really? Debate? No. But one of the things that I told her to do to prepare for a debate is to prepare a debate. So prepare to debate the opinion that you disagree with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so if I know there's a position, if there's a statement that is presented and I know that I agree with this statement, then I'm going to prepare a debate as if
Mm-hmm.
I disagree
Right.
because it opens my eyes and it opens my mind to a different paradigm of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
But if I lock in on my way of thinking and this is what it is, then we become very tunnel vision
Mm-hmm.
in this thing called life.
Well, that's what I teach when I'm teaching a research paper. I want to
Mm,
know what the opposition is, so you can tell me why the opposition is wrong.
yeah,
Show me that you have a well-rounded argument if you understand that.
right.
So, one of the things that our children and this generation has missed, and I think even the millennials who are now becoming elders and Gen Z and now Gen Alpha, is that we had to work hard to be fast.
They'll never know the
You
struggle.
had to know. My mama got off at 4:30. I need to be cool, calm, collected, in place by 4:45. Wherever she's gonna pick me up from. Like,
The
we
one
could
thing,
we didn't have Uber, we couldn't we had to, you had to coordinate. You had to work hard.
this thing right here, this
Uh-huh.
thing,
That right.
the
That.
one thing that my children have never experienced is trying to get somebody you want to talk
Mm-hmm.
to call your house, but you have to call at the exact time so that I can pick up the phone before it rings. You cannot call my house after a
That's right.
certain time or
That's
you going to talk to my daddy.
right.
And my dad had this thing. If you call the house after 11 o'clock, I don't know who would ever call my house after 11 o'clock, but it did happen a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
They was
Mm-hmm.
probably calling for my brother because they wasn't calling for me. But my dad would answer the phone, who died. That was how he answered the phone. Because if you call in my house at
Somebody.
this time of night, somebody
Somebody.
better be dead.
But those are the life lessons and skills that we also have we have to mourn that our children will never know.
Yeah. And then they don't understand getting 3 months out for the summer. Like we would be out of school. We like by the time we went back to school after Labor Day, we was ready to go back to school.
Well, no,
I was.
But I think even that now that no one I don't know if I know in one school that no one uses lockers anymore, right?
Mm-mm.
So we had to critically think about, okay, I have Miss Reed and then I have Mr. Moment, but my locker's on the other side, so I won't get a chance to get back over on that side until after third period. So I need to take my books for that period, and then I can go to my locker. So we were learning time management and the critical thinking skills
Yep.
about how to schedule and plan, and we've taken that. So there's some things, again, working with the PTA, to kind of really think about, do the autopsy about what was good about our childhood,
Right.
what was good about our educational experience, and kind of give them that and allow them the critical thinking. And I said to a friend of mine, I said, if you don't want your kids to mess up. That is not the word I use, but that will be the word I use because your mom's listening.
Yeah.
If you don't want them to be a colossal mess up
Mm-hmm.
in life, you got to let them mess up. You got to let them mess up
Yeah. Yeah.
while they can still be in your embrace to protect, to soothe, and to
And to pick them up
instruct.
and dust them off.
Right? You got to be able to
Yeah.
let them mess up. If you don't allow them to mess up, if you don't allow them to figure it out a little bit, um, and give them those opportunities to use those critical thinking skills that we learned,
Absolutely.
then I say bring
Absolutely.
back the lockers of JPS. You got them going through TSA security, so you might as well let them come back.
And then just have a master key that at any given point, if you need to go into a locker, you just open the locker.
Well, that's what we did. I mean, and we went
Yeah.
we went to. I have my own thoughts about the middle school concept, but okay, don't get
Fair
me
enough.
started. Don't get
Fair
me
enough.
started.
We're gonna have to pick that up on the next show.
All right, we'll do.
Listen, thank you so much, Candice, for being on the show
No problem.
tonight. This has been an amazing experience. Clap it up, clap it up, clap, 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 clap. Thank you so much. I'm finna kick you out, but it ain't nothing personal. Much
All
love.
right, I'm out.
All right, wait, before we
Yes.
go, do you want people to know how to get in contact with you?
You can get in contact with me on, as the old people say, the Facebook, and under Candice Love Jackson. You can check out my podcast, Allegedly Higher, on Spotify, with my friend Aaron Will. We talk about higher ed policy, pop culture, with a human centered kind of lens. The latest episode just went up on leadership lessons of Westeros. So
Okay,
we are huge Game of Thrones fans. So
respect, respect.
so check me out
Again,
there.
again,
And
go
on
ahead.
IG for Seeing Love One.
And she is also a published author.
Yes, I am.
She has let me see, one of them is his treasure.
So the first one is called Deserving Grace. The
Uh-huh.
second one is Finding His Treasure.
Uh-huh.
Um, they can be found on Amazon, Barnes and Noble as ebooks or printed copies. They are romance suspense. So, and all that implies.
So y'all please
Set
go
in
out here.
Jackson, by the way, so you might see some familiar hangouts.
Please go out here and support my classmate. Let her know that we out here. We appreciate you again. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much for
All
being
right,
on the show. I'm gonna have to buy
love
you
it.
a chicken sandwich or something.
Appreciate it.
Just make it up for you. All right. Thank you so much.
All right, bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you again so much. This has been the Step Said It podcast show. Shout out to my classmate for providing all of that wonderful insight. This show is available on my Facebook page. It's on Facebook, it's Instagram, and it's on YouTube. So if you want to go back and listen to um, any of the content that we provided on tonight, they will be there instantly once the show ends. Probably by this time tomorrow, you'll be able to go to my website, www.stepsedit.com. There, those episodes will be uploaded to the website, so you can download them there. And please take a moment, check it out, see what we got going on, see what's what in the wonderful world of Step Said It podcast and Step Said It entertainment. Also, I do ask that you consider becoming a partner. Our levels come in on three. They come in on three levels: level 1, 2, and 3. It's not about the money; it's about the exposure. And so I do ask that you go ahead and take a look at that, check it out, and see what we're offering. Listen, like, follow, subscribe. We are Step Set It across all social media platforms. I'm Step Set It on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Snapchat, and I am on, I think, TikTok. That's the one that I was missing. And so, y'all, please go ahead, like, share, subscribe. Tell everybody what you liked about the show. If you didn't like the show, don't tell anybody else. Just please reach out to me so that we can do everything that we can do to make this a whole lot better. Listen, I mentioned to you guys a while back that we were moving to the Step Set It Entertainment. These are the Step Set It Entertainment weekly events on Monday nights. I am hosting live trivia at Kingpin's, which is at Fannin Lanes in Brandon. The wonderful thing about this night is on Monday nights, because they're trying to grow the event, the manager has put out, and I don't know if this is what he's going to do weekly, but last week for the first place team, he did a $500 gift certificate. I do know the regular prizes. It's a $100 gift certificate. It's $100. I think it's $175 and $50 for the first, second, and third place teams. So if you enjoy playing trivia, if you like trivia, if you enjoy just random facts about anything, y'all come check me out. I'm at Fannin Lanes at Kingpin in Brandon. Every Tuesday night, we host a game called Singo at Buffalo Wild Wings. Singo is like bingo for music, or bingo with music. Once again, it's a lot of fun. Come check me out at the Buffalo Wild Wings in Ridgeland. And then right after we wrap up with Singo at 6:30, we start Blazing Hot Karaoke again at Buffalo Wild Wings on Tuesday nights, every Tuesday night. And then every Wednesday, I'm back at Buffalo Wild Wings hosting trivia. It's just like the trivia that we play at Kingpin, but once again, it's a lot of fun. Please take the time, come check me out. It's a lot to do, and I know you may want to say, we got a lot going on during the week. I'm not saying you got to come every night. I'm not saying you got to stay the entire time, but this does give you something to do, something different, something exciting. And I promise you, I'm gonna make it a whole lot of fun for you. Once again, this has been the Steps Headed Podcast. I am Stephen B. I am the host with the most. And I can say I'm the host with the most because this is my show, and I can pretty much say what I want to say, except for when my mama call me and tell me to don't say that no more. And so we know who rules the world. I have truly been honored to hang out with you guys on tonight. Thanks again to my wonderful guest, Dr. Candice Love Jackson, for the insight that she has provided. Thank you for those of you who jumped in the room and provided your insight. Big Country, sir, we got to talk because I got a special show that I want to do with you. Hopefully you'll be in town at some point during the holiday, during the season, because I want to do a tailgate special with you. You already know what this is about. Sonia, you know I'm finna be blowing you up, and hashtag on site. You know what it means. So again, thank you guys so much for being a part of the Steps Added family, following the podcast. Please tell everybody we're here every Thursday at 8 o'clock on the dot. Well, 8 o'clock ish on the dot. But this has truly been a pleasure. It's been a lot of fun. I'm enjoying this journey, and I thank you all for being a part of this journey with me. Uh, we're gonna go ahead and sign off. You all enjoy your night, have fun, enjoy your week. To all of you with the parents with children, remember the resources that we provided. If you have questions, if you need some more insight, reach out to me. Send me an email, stepsetit@gmail.com. Drop a note on my website, inbox me on social media, and we're going to be good to go. Once again, this is the Steps Headed Podcast. And if anybody asks you where you get your information from, you know what to tell them. Steps Headed. Y'all have a good night. We'll see you next week. Love you.